Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the Cultured Nerd Podcast. This week, again, like every other week before, we're talking about Superman. But now that the movie is out, we're going to sit down. We're going to talk about what we both thought. We're going to talk about spoilers. We're going to talk about Easter eggs we saw and a whole lot more. So let's sit tight and let's talk The Man of Steel. Here we are. And for anyone who didn't catch the memo in the first 2 seconds, this is going to be a major spoiler alert episode. We're going to talk about everything about this film. So if you haven't seen it yet and you don't want to get spoiled, turn away now because we're going to talk a lot of spoilers.
We got to talk everything.
Everything.
I saw it twice, so the first time I had a lot of feels. The second time I kind of got to ride the roller coaster again. Yeah. Can I just say that I'm happy that we're talking about cinematic Superman again?
Yeah.
I feel like before everyone starts ripping each other apart, it's really nice to have Superman and the DC back in the conversation in terms of Movie Town.
Yeah.
Taylor, how was your movie going experience?
Well, I loved it. I watched it. I saw it with my wife, my kids, my brother-in-law. We all sat down, we all watched it. Everyone enjoyed it. And it was kind of exactly, funny enough, if we're going to do a checklist on everything that I said in the last video and this one,
yeah,
99%.
Yeah, about 99%. Yeah.
All of the info that I was given was pretty spot on, with the sole exception of the kaiju baby being the reason the mama kaiju's in town. No, it was just the kaiju baby was the kaiju. That was the only bad intel I got on this film. Everything else was pretty much one for one.
This movie is a sneaky kids movie. And what I mean by that is James Gunn, there's a number of shots where we see children going through this experience, and we see them with all of their animals. Sneaky kids movies have a lot of animals in it for no reason. This movie shows you this effect, and I think a little kid watching this movie goes, oh, that would be so hard if I was having to flee. It's a sneaky kids movie. Yeah. It's also a sneaky adult movie. Taylor, this is the hottest kissing I've seen in a superhero movie since maybe Spider-Man 2.
So, can we also talk about the reality that this film probably gave us the best depiction of Superman on screen, the most accurate depiction of Superman, where he is old-timey and he's a little hokey, but he's also earnest for the sake of being earnest. And it was like he was allergic to death and he was allergic to swearing. The whole movie, he was trying to be as rated G as he possibly could. And the world wasn't. And that was what was funny about it.
Yeah, and it works for Superman. They did something really sneaky with the dog. Let's bring up that at the very end. I was really worried that we were going to get a Thor Love and Thunder kind of animal. And they did Crypto well. They put him in good situations where this would be an asset to the team. And it already is laying the groundwork for Superman needing a team. Now, some people won't like that. And Taylor, what do you say to the criticism that all I saw was Superman get his ass kicked for 2 hours?
Is that actually what happened? Do we all see the same movie? Because at one point, he was taken in and then he was exposed to kryptonite after they said in canon there's no more kryptonite on this planet. So I thought that was a very interesting thing, that they not only did they acknowledge that kryptonite is its weakness, but also they acknowledge that it doesn't exist anymore. So in 3 years, Superman cleaned up all the kryptonite on the planet. So Lex had to outsource it.
They also said Superman hadn't lost a fight in 3 years. Now, maybe it's a wrestling thing and they wanted to be there for those 3 years, but I think that we had to see Superman grow, and we saw him grow because for the first time he was faced with not being enough, because the whole movie he get back up. that determination of him was the thing that spoke to me so much. He
That's
always
Superman.
got back up, Taylor.
Yeah.
He never sat down.
That's Superman. I mean, the only time in the entire movie where he wasn't like, I'm going to go do everything was when he was looking for his dog. And even that was a pretty great sequence where Lois is like, "Are you going to go help them?" They're like, "No, they got it."
Now, I can understand if a more serious Superman character is the Superman that resonates with you. Great. Those will now be alone and be their own island, and you should go visit it as much as you want to.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about, trying to encompass the whole history of this character, they did pretty good. And to be honest, it's wild that we got the full, we basically got the full Super family minus Superboy, but he's going to show up because we already know what Lex is up to.
Yeah. I mean, we already know that Lex is off doing his Lex stuff and cloning Superman behind the scenes. So it's there. The material is there. And speaking of the cloning, the Ultraman stuff, I loved how it basically, in my headcanon, this is still Bizarro because he is a clone. He's dumb as a stump, and in my brain, he gets sucked into the black hole, and then when he comes back, he's going to be all ravaged from space and look a little deformed, and that's Bizarro. So in my mind, they just created the perfect origin story for comic accurate Bizarro.
But they also did what they don't do in Marvel movies in that. So Nicholas Hoult, what a great job.
Yeah.
But by making your heavy dumb as rocks, we got to hear his voice. That whole final that whole final fight scene is them talking to each other, right? And them interacting with each other through these avatars, right? I was happy. I was happy by all of that stuff. I also will acknowledge that if you don't like James Gunn movies, you're not going to like this movie.
Yeah, this was very much a James Gunn film through and through.
But I have begun to enjoy those tropes. And I like the way he plays with the film universe. Yeah. And for example, the fight scene on the beach where
one of the best fight scenes in the whole movie, when Mr. Terrific just goes off and is terrific the whole time.
But I loved it so much because we saw it from the point of view of someone who is not a superhero.
Yeah.
Also, I kept telling myself, you work for bad guys, you get beat up. All those fucking interns at MIT, if you're working on evil technology that ruins humanity, yes, you are a bad person, and yes, someone will throw a techno ball in your face.
Yeah.
But to see it from Lois, to experience the chaoticness of all of that. Also, before I hand the ball back to you, I kept thinking of that Kevin Smith story where he was pitched that Superman movie, and the producer said, "I don't want to see Superman fly. That's some gay stuff." Mind you, this is 90s, very problematic speak. Not gay in a happy way or a prideful way, but in a hateful way. And when he flew in that scene and we see Superman flying, I'm like, isn't this what people watch Superman for? To pretend like, what would it be like if I could fly through the air?
There was so much about this movie that I loved. I loved the very introduction where they start the film off and they say, this is that metahumans have existed for 300 years. And this is the era that we call the era of gods and monsters. I'm like, and there it is. That's why he's calling it this, because that's literally how this movie is starting off. So I was all for it. I loved every bit of it. The music, Mr. Terrific beach fight scene it was so quirky and so Guardians of the Galaxy that I loved it.
The second time I saw it with my dad. The soundtrack really hit me the second time. Yeah. The way he stings those scenes. My dad just brought out the sound design in this movie is really good. You feel the fight scenes. You feel the impact of these things. That Superman sting is really good.
Yeah, and they did it in a nice subtle way, but it was also remixed. So I mean, a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's just the John Williams theme." If you actually look at it, it's not. It has a couple of the same note chords, but the rest of the theme is very different. But it had that melody that was enough to make it seem like this is the Superman theme, and it's
Yeah.
familiar enough to where I'm okay with it.
I think that one of the things I'm reading is that like there's two. So one of the things I heard is that he wanted to edit the movie like a comic book. So like
Yeah.
each section, the movie still feels like that. It still feels like the first section, the Daily Planet section. The second half of the movie doesn't suffer as much from that, but there is. I think that there is a lot in DC, and I feel like you had to let the audience know there's a lot in this world, and it's all just here. We're not going to. I think that the fact that people want more out of this movie means they want more of this universe.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that's being lost on people.
And that's a great sign, right? I mean, the movie did exactly what it needed to. It introduced us to a world where Superman is this character that is very much old timey and very value ridden. And
except, can we both agree that I guess Superman is pro sex workers? He can hear everything in the city. He knows those ladies are working the streets, Taylor. He does it. He turns a blind eye to their industry.
Don't sully a good thing. I think he just knows how to ignore people and just doesn't want to get involved in some of that stuff. Because I mean, Superman, David Cornswood actually said multiple times that his interpretation of Superman is that Superman will do the right thing no matter what, but he's not going to tell people how to live their lives. Yeah. He's not one for giving advice. He's one for saving the day. So he's not going to be like, you need to stop doing this. He's just going to like, if one of them is like in a situation where a gun's pulled on him, he's going to show up and say, I saved you. Maybe you should think of a different line of work. And that's like the most he will say.
Now, where do you fall on some of the more nitpicky stuff? How come the Kryptonian robots didn't know how to fix the message? How come she could do it with her thing? When they translate the message, they go to the 30 best linguists. How do any of them know any of that stuff?
Well, so it was a corrupted file. I mean, that was the thing. Like they couldn't uncorrupt the file because it was damaged. But as soon as this living computer went into the system and found the pieces to put it back together. So I think it's just the level of AI that they were versus a human brain infused with AI. It's a little bit different.
I really liked her. You know, there's a lot of movies that gives us a hot lady in a black suit, and they're kind of a dime a dozen. She felt different.
The engineer was rad.
The engineer, and that the fact that she's in the universe, she could show up in Suicide Squad. She could go fight somebody else in another movie.
But so the engineer is actually a member of the Authority. So they're still definitely establishing the fact that she's going to be.
And Taylor, Taylor, I can't wait for the Authority movie where in the third act, the Justice Gang has to put those guys down. The world, Taylor, I can't believe that we got Guy Gardner and people are going, man, that Green Lantern's pretty cool.
Yeah. I liked so much about the Justice Gang, and I love how they were like, oh, it's the Justice Gang. And they're like, we're workshopping the name. He's like, nah, that's what we're called. And like, it's a dumb name, Guy.
All of those back and forths were fabulous.
Yeah, and I really liked how, and I said this multiple times to my family, everyone, like, Mr. Terrific was basically Spock who knew Kung Fu.
Yeah, and that's so true.
So much fun to watch because he's like, I don't care about emotions, but I know how to kick some ass. And that's how he was. Like, he was just very much no nonsense, all logic, and I can also beat the crap out of you.
And Taylor, I'm happy that we got that over Cyborg, because Cyborg could have done a lot of that. But guess what? Mr. Terrific's not going to explain anything about himself. He's already been this person. We'll find about his story another day. He was fantastic. I also like that Hawk Girl was crazy. Yeah. I like that she was just a crazy person, and we only scratched the surface with her, but I'm always afraid with characters like that, like, oh, she's going to be the gimmicky person. Nah, she was fine. She killed that dude. She was great.
Like, one of the things I really liked was, again, she was fantastic. I liked the initial thing that I heard, right? We talked about this multiple times, that Superman was going to be inspiring the other heroes, and he did just that. I mean, he came back to the fight, and he had to make this impossible choice between stopping World War III or saving the city, and then the other heroes picked up the slack for him. And previously, after like multiple times where they're like, "We're not getting involved. We're not doing this. We're not doing this," and then Green Lantern's like, "I get involved now," and he went out there and got involved.
What a great segue for the Lantern Corps to show up to Earth and go, "Hey, we have a very strict not getting involved with politics." Like, you know what I mean? Wonder where they feel in all of this. What's their opinions on this?
Well, I mean, we already know that there's two other lanterns on Earth right now, so we'll see what happens because we know that Guy Gardner has a role in the Lantern show. So I'm willing to bet he's going to get talked to by Hal about exactly this.
I hope that I know that not all other cities will be like Metropolis, but I hope that like there's a steampunkness to the movie.
Yeah.
Like in Lex's room, there's like there's like old-timey screens and buttons that seem like not necessarily like, you know, techno sleek MCU. There's
it's very like Star Wars style where everyone looks like it's like futuristic 70s. It's like, this is cool, this is different. I like his very janky teleporters, and Mr. Terrific was like, this guy's going to destroy the planet if he does things wrong. Like just the mad scientist level of him. But that's also what I loved about this. This movie felt like Silver Age Superman come to life, where the mad scientist, the crazy science fiction is right there in your face, and people are like, okay, cool, he just did this. Yeah, okay.
I think this was a very science fiction heavy movie, and they did such a good job of all of these inventions and things like that, just all a part of it. Yeah, and I love that idea that we have that conversation of brain versus brawn. They literally talk about it in the movie, but when you talk about it like that, and man, I enjoyed some of those big set pieces of Superman trying to save a baby against the forces of reality, right? Like the inner workings of quantum physics is what Superman is trying to deal with right now.
Like he's trying to take this little green baby and fight a black hole. And I'm like, this is the craziest science fiction-y Superman I've ever seen.
And I thought that, so you get the one scene, he's looking into the abyss, right? We then see him blow and he does all the stuff. But like, I thought about that of like, yeah, there's that quote, you know, if you stare at the abyss stares back at you. Superman goes, yeah, I'll stare at the abyss. Yeah. Listen, I will be the person. I will do this. He'll take on all of the sins of the world and be like, yeah, I'll do something about it.
I mean, there's so much to love about this film. And like I said, one of my biggest gripes was just the janky editing. And I feel like this movie probably had 20 minutes that was cut down that would have probably fixed the pacing of the first act a little bit. Because, I mean, everyone who saw any of the pre-screenings or the test screenings all said it was about 2.5 hours long. So we're losing about 20 minutes, but nothing that anyone said was missing. So it sounds like they just cut down for time, which I think that breathing room probably would help with the pacing a bit.
I was okay without it because so one of the things I hate, and this has happened in Star Wars, and I hate it, Taylor. I hate video game talk in movies.
Yeah, I know.
All right, Superman, you got to get those 3 golden discs and bring them back. Like, Marvel has garbage dialogue during their fights because it's just like Black Panther 2 felt like that. There was a bunch of scenes where like
the info dumps where they try to like throw so much at you and you're like, wow, this was unnecessary exposition. The first time we saw Batman Begins back in 2005, the movie was going fantastic. And then there's that info dump where Batman has to explain to Gordon what's happening. And they're like monologuing very quickly. He's like, he's coming to destroy the city, so I have to do this. Can you try to stick? And you're like, that was the hardest scene to get through. And to this day, that's the one scene that we both agree that kind of derailed that movie a lot more than it should have.
I don't feel like there was too many info dumps. And like the one that was a really great scene between Lois and Superman. The casting in the movie is really good across the board, just across the board. And that scene, you know, to have a verbal volleyball match
Yeah.
as your next set piece. I liked it. I liked the stakes it set up in that universe.
Yeah. It definitely showed why Lois is worth something to Superman, because she was challenging him and keeping him grounded instead of just letting him be idealistic and foolhardy, which I thought was very nice. I also can we also talk about like the fact that Jimmy Olsen's clearly the guy who's laying the most pipe in Metropolis? Like
They kept talking about Superman having hypno glasses. What is everybody seeing in this kid that he is God's earth to women?
I'm just like, this is the funniest meta joke thing. Like James Gunn was like, Jimmy Olsen's a ridiculous character, so let's amp up that ridiculousness and make him into this ladies' man that he doesn't want to be.
And it was like a weird like Gossip Girl, like, oh, he gets the scoop about what's going in town because he's gone on like a date with everybody. Like, yeah. We only saw weird toes in his contacts. Who's Doublehead? Who's Weird Neck?
Yeah, I was looking at that. I'm like, that is the funniest thing they could have done to Jimmy Olsen, and it worked so well. I loved all of that. I loved the dialogue. Now let's talk about the Easter eggs. What did you catch? What Easter eggs did you notice, Michael? Did you notice any?
Did I notice any? I kept looking. Okay, the literally they show us that Peacemaker is on the news and is some sort of more conservative superhero running in conservative TV world as well.
Right, that's kind of what he was in season 1 till he murdered some people. Yes, and became like a running from the law kind of a character.
I mean, they literally gave us the Halls of Justice. They gave us a cartoon accurate version of that set.
All right. Now, can I say one of the biggest things to me that is the biggest Easter egg of all? The Hall of Justice had one thing in it that I was just like, huh? When I was watching it on screen, and not enough people noticed it. And so, like, I went on social media and I'm like, did anyone else see this? And people were like, what now?
You're talking about the murals, right?
Yes, the murals. Because the murals are insane. I'm going to start listing off the people that I see in this picture right now. Dr. Fate, Vibe, Wildcat, Freedom Beast, there's Atomic Knight, Black Pirate. I can't tell who the guy is on the horse there. There's also Jay Garrick, the Flash, running around in multiple spots on the mural. So to me, immediately, that tells me that the JSA exists. And now we know that this is going to be a comic accurate Flash where Barry Allen takes on the moniker because of his childhood hero, the Flash, which is, I love when they legacy character stuff like that. Like, and I think maybe I even saw Alan Scott's Green Lantern in here somewhere too. I can't tell if that's him or not, but James Gunn said that he's working on this secret project that he doesn't want anyone to know about. And I swear to God, if it's a World War II era Justice Society film, I need it. I need to see them change the course of some world war and be a huge factor in the history.
And you know what? I like this sandbox so much. It's like, can we get Shazam over here too? Like, I know that there's a taint on all of this, and I don't know what you do, but like,
no, what you do is you get someone who doesn't. I mean, because to me, Zachary Levi was fine as Shazam, but he also wasn't big enough. You could tell it was like a skinny dude in a suit. I want, and I've said this before, I want Alan Ritchson to play Shazam. I want Jack Reacher, that giant behemoth of a man with black hair, and I just want him to play his character Thad from Blue Mountain State.
He can do comedy. He could do comedy
so
and
well.
He could do it, and he could be intimidating on screen.
Yeah, just come out like walking like that. They're like, "Oh, damn!" He's like, "Was that cool enough for you guys?" Because I looked pretty cool doing it. Like just something like a 10-year-old would say. And I want them to age down Billy Batson, not be a teenager, because that's where the disconnect was for me. Where it's like he's like 17, guys. Like he's not going to act like this.
Yeah,
make him like 8. Make him literally a child. Like if my son got Shazam powers and he's like 4. I want to see that where he's like vroom, flying around. Like I want him to narrate himself like a child would.
Yeah, it's almost like a Goku situation, right?
Yeah.
Like make him be like super young.
Yeah.
Okay. Who was in the glass cube jail? We saw someone with glasses on, long hair and a big beard, and it lingers on him for like 1.5 seconds. I think that is somebody.
I think it is too, but I couldn't figure out who it was. I saw it I looked at it and I'm like, that's got to be significant, but I can't figure out why. Um, but other Easter eggs that I noticed, the next exit to Gotham City sign, when the people were trying to flee the city, there was a nice little drop that Gotham City's like kind of like when you go like you're in New York and it says take this exit to get on this interstate to get to New Jersey. It was very much that thing. Metropolis takes place in Delaware now because the Delaware plates, but that definitely sets the stage to Gotham taking place in New Jersey like it does in the comics. So I'm all down for that. I think this is fantastic. There was I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like it's all not coming to my brain right now. All of the Easter eggs that I noted, but let's see.
I mean, they show us Party Girl, Supergirl.
Yes, and I think, and a lot of people are like, "Why is she like that?" And my wife was like, "Why is she like that?" And I'm like, "Well, Steph, Supergirl was also like 16 when she traveled to Earth, and her whole, like, you're a teenager, you're leaving your planet because we're about to all die, and go protect your baby cousin. He left 20 minutes ago. She gets lost in space and arrives, and her cousin's now 30 and looking after her. And now she's also has to deal with the trauma and grief of losing her planet, and now she has no purpose. So, yeah, she's going to be
she's a dog mom.
Yeah, and she has her puppy with her, and her puppy's a monster. So
it's crazy that Krypto is going to be the carryover, and now we see Krypto on another adventure through space.
Yeah, I love that. I also love that.
That's the Lobo movie, right? Superman hires Lobo to go get her or something, or someone wants to get her.
Lobo goes after her because he's a bounty hunter, and someone put a mark on her, and she's like off gallivanting throughout the universe. So we do know that. I mean, word is that Superman is in that film for obvious reasons.
Yes,
but the movie is 99.9% hers, with Superman having some sort of a bookend scene.
Yeah.
And it's about her maturity and her growth. And obviously with her showing up in this film, and you can tell that she's still very much an immature teenager that has powers. It's going to be a very interesting film to see that dynamic change.
Well, I'll tell you, I can see why we've been having all these conversations about Teen Titans. And I don't know, has she ever been on the lead of Teen Titans?
The Legion. She was part of the Legion of the time traveling superheroes.
Okay.
But that's about it. I don't think this version of the character would be old enough to be a part of the Legion. Or I think she's just too old for it, to be honest. But I very much want to see them adapt that comic and do it in a way where she kind of grows into the hero she needs to be. So I'm really excited for that. And I like the fact that Lobo is going to be her primary foil for the film. That's just fantastic.
Well, and it just means that we also get to get a bunch of space characters. We haven't even touched magic yet, which is totally fine. I think that we already have enough other things going on that we don't necessarily need those.
It's going to be an interesting sandbox of a universe, and it's already breaking records, which is fantastic. It made about 220 for its opening weekend, and opening weekend box office never counts Sunday, so the number's probably a little different now.
I think it's also a tough time to come out. I think there's a lot of movies that are out right now and a lot of things that people want to go see. So I hope it continues finding new audiences, but
yeah,
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. And I like that it felt, Taylor, it was nice to see a superhero movie where the superhero saved people.
Yeah. And
not an existential, everything. It was all important. He even wanted to save the kaiju.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of what's missing with Superman is his pure earnest goodness, where he's I was talking to somebody, and this was a diehard Snyder fan, and I love those movies too. But there was a point where they said, one of the things that really irked me about Superman was that, yes, it was his second day of being Superman. He's still very naive. But that shot where Zod is kicking the gas tanker at him and Superman just jumps over it and it explodes in the building behind him. Very cool visually. But you also see all these people running around in craziness. Superman should have he would have, this version of Superman would have grabbed all those people first and let the tanker hit.
Yes.
It was very interesting to see this difference where you have, realistically, this Superman has already been Superman longer than what we saw in the Snyderverse.
Yes.
So
This Superman, I liked watching Superman
Yeah.
fight. He never uses his full force to begin with, but
You
like
could
when
see he was doing like the Vegeta thing from the world
yeah,
tournament where he's like pop, like little punches, like holding his strength back. Like when he knocked that dude's teeth out, he was like,
but also when he like whipped the engineer around like
Yeah.
3 times and then like hit her around until she like passed out. I'm like, yeah, don't hold on to Superman or that's what's gonna happen.
yeah, like you could tell he was holding back until he was fighting Ultraman. He's like, I'm just going to beat the pulp out of this guy.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite things is that, like, just Crypto is a dog, and you could tell that James Gunn loves his dog and knows how dogs work. And just the whole, like, as soon as he figured out the camera thing, he's like, Crypto, toy. And just watching Crypto assist him in battle while he's beating the pulp out of this idiot of a clone who was essentially a pawn in a greater chess match where Lex is literally calling out chess moves to get him to do these fights, which was really cool. But it was also, I love the dynamic of how smart Lex was and how, yeah, like you said, brain versus brawn. And he was using brawn with his brain until it backfired on him.
We have, General Flag. We had that lady from the Suicide Squad movies at the table, right? So, like, some of these government people are going to, like, be carryovers from all these other things.
CIA, Argus, all of that stuff, all there.
And it also just means that this Peacemaker season 2 is kind of a must-watch. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I was already going to see it, but the fact that we're now going to see our weird version show up to this world and vice versa, I'm very excited to see that.
One thing that I really enjoyed is, so obviously the movie started without a Warner Brothers stinger, like it doesn't exist now because this is DC Studios, it's its own thing. But the promise that, I mean, James Gunn let go a couple weeks back that the essentially the bat embargo no longer exists anymore. And the whole concept that you can't have more than one character appearing at the same time, there's all these issues, none of that's going to be a thing. So I fully expect Peacemaker season 2, we're going to see some footage of Superman flying on the news somewhere in the background. You're going to see stuff like that all over the place, where this is going to feel like a very lived-in world. And because the same guy who's masterminding the universe masterminded this show and the movie, there's going to be some continuity there, which is going to be fantastic to see. It's not going to feel like how Marvel has done this TV shows, where people are trying to figure out where these shows fit in the timeline.
Right.
This is just going to be very cut and dry, and references are going to be there, and he's going to make sure that they make sense.
That part of all of this feels so reassuring, because you're right. I'm so often trying to figure out where something is to make it all make sense. And like this, I feel like it's going to be 1-to-1, because we already saw the Justice Gang. We already saw these characters again.
Yeah. And I'm all for it. I mean, I loved what came before, and I'm loving what we have now. And I think it's going to just be a fun ride to see where this goes. Because as I told my son, we were driving home, I'm like, as much as I loved the Superman movie, the promise of a Bat family is making this all worth it for me.
Taylor, 100%. And we're getting, after seeing this movie, we're getting it all.
We're getting it all. We're getting Nightwing. We're getting Robin. We're getting Tim Drake. Nightwing, I can just imagine, is going to fight like Daredevil, just like brawling with the sticks and just beating the crap out of people, but also doing flips and shit, which is going to be fantastic. They're going to hire they're going to hire some like Olympic gymnasts to do all the stunt work, where you're going to see Nightwing do like flips over things and twirls in the air, and it's going to be like, ooh, wow. Then he hits somebody in the face, flip, swack. Like, it's going to be fantastic. So I am all for this. The DCU is making its money. I mean, the budget was officially confirmed at $225 million, and they confirmed that the marketing budget was only $100 million. So once they hit $325 million, they've broken even.
Cool.
So that's going to be Wednesday. So, like, I'm excited. This is fantastic.
Listen, I was happy that Superman felt like Superman, that he was for the family. I'm excited to see what other direction they're going to pull these different genres in and things like that, and to see if we get something that maybe is a PG, or we get something that's a PG-13 or an R, right? Yeah. I think any of that.
It's going to be all over the place, and that's what's so great about it, was that you can tell that the team-up movie is going to be PG-13, but you also know that Peacemaker and Lanterns or TVMA, the Authority is supposed to be rated R whenever that happens. So
Mhm.
they're doing a crypto animated show, which is going to just be fun for the kids. So I'm all for it. I'm all for this all ages DC. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Okay. What happens next?
What happens next is that they break even in the next couple of weeks, and they start getting to work on the next thing. And Clayface is going to start pretty soon in filming, and I'm pretty sure that by the end of this year, we're going to have the announcement of at least 3 more films and projects that are already hitting the ground running.
And this also means that, like all these other things, like Penguin season 2 or a Gotham show, that if the script is there and people want to do it, they can do it.
Yeah. That's the genius of how James Gunn is managing this stuff with the Elseworld stuff. He doesn't care as long as the interpretations aren't one-to-one. Like, they can both use Clayface as long as they're different. Like, that doesn't matter. Like, just don't make it hard for people to follow, and it'll be okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm very excited.
I am too. But take it home, Michael.
We've gone home just like poor Kal-El will never be able to go home. But if you would like to support us, head on over to the patreon.com/thecultured nerd. Please help us keep the lights on. If you're watching this on the intranets, please like, comment, subscribe. Please send this to people that you know. Help them find out about the Cultured Nerd. Question of the day. What was your favorite part of the movie? What did you like? What worked? What would you like to maybe? What was something you didn't like? Taylor Murphy's been your host. I'm Michael Santel, have been your co-host. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see all you kids and cats next time.
I really liked the Iggy Pop ending. I like Iggy Pop. He's fantastic, and I liked that song. That's now burned into my brain forever.
It's a great Superman song.
It is. It helps hone in the cheesiness of him saying I'm punk rock. It's not, but it is. So it's fantastic. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.